Both Voyager probes cost $865 million back then. That would be $4.3 billion now. 1990, Voyager 1 took the Solar System family portrait as its last image, and the images were deactivated. After that point, it cost around $40,000 a year to maintain and communicate with it and make corrections. Till now. As of 2012, August 26, after 34 years, 11 months, and 21 days of continuous operation, Voyager 1 had traveled 17 light hours out and crossed the solar system's outer boundary as the first interstellar spacecraft outside of the heliosphere. There's a definitive cutoff where the signals it sent indicated that it wasn't getting hit with as much radiation of a particular variety. That was the boundary. By 2022, one of its onboard computers screwed up from May 18th to August 30th. The 3 months of downtime in one of the computers that had a backup. And they were able to correct it from there. As of 2023, April 16th, today, the 1,600-pound, 470-watt, 1977 September 5th launched probe is still working with a 45-year, 7-month, and 11-day uptime. I've never heard of any piece of equipment being able to do that much uptime. I'm pretty sure I don't know of any that do exist that are electronics-based. It's at a ridiculously large number of kilometers away, or 22 light hours away. It's moving at 17 kilometers an hour and accelerating. Due to the fact that the escape velocity for a galaxy is 550 kilometers a second, or 32 times its current speed, it will wander the Milky Way, waiting eternally. Even after the sun becomes a red giant and eats the Earth, it'll still be moving through space. 2025 is its mission end date so far. Again, barring them coming up with a way to get it to work, or, well, that's its end date. But then again, 100 years from now, it could get hit with a burst of radiation from a gamma ray burst, even if we don't know about it, and then the radiation source, power source, could kick on and put on some more power. It could also someday get near a light source, and that would power it up. It has solar panels someplace. Maybe it would divert it. The fact that it may outlive our planet and solar system makes certain varieties of people furious, and that's good. We live in a world now where people are trying to outlaw a book written by somebody of a particular color they don't like, but they say, I'm not racist. We live in a world now where we have a governor of Florida demanding that there be a law against people criticizing him. We are living in a world where some of you think this is okay. And the fact that this thing will keep bleeping and blooping every time it comes by a light source, that's or every time a blast of radiation kickstarts its frickin' power source, because that's probably the most likely outcome, and it'll keep bleeping and blooping trying to talk to us. The fact that it may keep doing that long after humanity's been burned out of existence, and that pisses some of you off because it says that we're very temporary and very tiny, makes me happy. This is not the first year this has happened. This is not the first year that human beings have been infested with this sort of crap. The better we have it, the more people scream that they're miserable, because they have it too good, I guess. Yes, I'm starting to sound like an old fogey, but it's not really that. I live in a world where I'm not going to die right now from all my front teeth being smashed in by a bike accident and a couple of molars being broken out and it resulting in an abscess that kills me, because that almost happened a couple of times because I got dental work done because of a relative being generous and helping me. I will live a longer life. I will live past the hypothetical 50-year max range of age that people keep quoting incorrectly. Human beings live the same period of time we do now. It's just that a smaller number of them would live past a certain date. That's all. But your maximum date is still the same thing. 124 years, 115, depending on your genetics, is the absolute maximum, but the actual maximum of productive functioning life where you're able to actually do something and take care of yourself so that you don't die, it's about the same. 70 or 80, depending on, again, genetics. We live in a time where it's not some futuristic prediction. You're already living in the future that people predicted. We're only missing a few things, and we're not really far from that. I dare you to find something that was predicted that we would have that we can't just do. The problem is, some of you out there want to make sure that nobody does it. Some of you believe that if someone out there is happy, healthy, not miserable, that it's demeaning to you in some way. Some don't. Some of you out there literally scream about something that would, if we did it all over again, if we had the opportunity, would cost $4.3 billion right now out of a budget where most of you would like it diverted to literally anything but education, science, medical coverage, a school being funded correctly, teachers being paid something so that they could eventually buy a house. No, NASA's part of some giant conspiracy, or they're hiding something, or a dazzling success like this is somehow a thorn in somebody's side. And they're a very tiny minority. The majority of people who, if anybody pays attention to this video, the majority of people who hear this would be like, what are you talking about? And then all you have to do is go on the internet and just look up NASA cover-up, and you'll find people who are irrationally, murderously angry because, and then you get lost trying to figure out what the heck the reasoning is. There isn't one. That's why it's called a rabbit hole, because it's more of it's quicksand. It's a cesspit. So why am I doing this video? I was trying to look up just how far away this piece of equipment is from the Earth. And the numbers change too quickly. And the website that actually does the calculation and actually updates it by doing a telemetry test every once in a while, so it's literally able to be checked for distance from the sun. It's done based on the core of the sun. So it's off by 93 million miles. Oh well. It's the website itself had a defect in the video. Not the video, but in the counter utility that made it to where it did all the numbers exactly backwards. And someone put up a conspiracy theory about it because when you get it to read it back, it reads it back in the wrong order because somebody made a mistake on the website and didn't correct it. Oh, well, that's NASA all over, right? No, it's probably an intern who's not paid. If you were to force all of the rich people on this earth to pay all their back taxes, and every single religion to do so too, because it's a scam, we would have more than enough to take care of everything we need. And oddly enough, it would get rid of most of the national debt pretty quickly. And if you could get people to stop stonewalling and stop being in the way, trying to keep us from solving problems, because they need those problems to be there. Otherwise, they can't yell about them and then blame them on somebody else when it's their fault, so that they can get elected. If you were actually, not encourage, but literally compel them under pain of death to actually solve all the problems that they can easily solve. Day one, when they all show up for Congress or whatever it is in your country, and just tell them, don't argue on anything. Anything you can agree on, do. If it's obvious that you're refusing to agree on something because you want to use that as a political wrangling tool, you won't come back. I guarantee you we would have virtually no problems right now. But people deciding it has to be NASA causing some problem, or FEMA, this antagonistic, anybody trying to help anybody else or even me must be evil, and I must demonize them, the actual expression and meaning for demonizing someone, or demonization. You should look it up. I'll leave a link. These kind of people are what are keeping us behind. And it's not an accident. It's the intentional effect. Because the less shit that's wrong, the less power somebody has over you. And they have their whole little group of people wanting this. They're still the tiny minority of people on the planet, but they trick the majority of us into going along with it. At least that's what it seems like. I mean, I'm not really sure if they're just faking all the votes to make sure they stay in power. And the they I'm referring to isn't, oh, it's the Hillary Clintons and the elitists and they're all, blah, blah, whatever. No, it's the elites that have been running the world forever, and they don't have any power if they don't represent a solution they never let us have. And still, you can aim an antenna, if you can get a good one, and pick this thing up and confirm it from 1 month to the next that it's always the same angle, it's always the same position in time space. It really is that far fucking out there. And that the only way to get it out there at 17 kilometers per second and accelerating is to have fired it in 1977, when there was a tiny window, a once in a millennium, literally, a once a millennium timing, where all of the planets would be in alignment that would work for slingshotting something and also have them going past most of, if not all of the planets. They decided to sacrifice Voyager 1 by having it do a specific flyby. And all it ended up doing is making it beat the other one to the race. It gets the glory even though it was supposed to be the also-ran. Kind of ironic. I was looking up recent news, and one of the recent news stories was, Voyager 1, could this be the end? Terrifying discovery, NASA shock. There's no update about it because it's doing the same thing it's been doing for the last, my God, it's been doing the same thing it has been doing for 45 fucking years. Its job. And I love that infuriates a specific variety of irrational asshole out there. I use it as a test. I did. When I would be interviewing people, I'd ask them what they thought of, some things. But when I brought up not the moon landing, but Voyager 1, because I could detect ignorance easily at that point. I knew who not to have in a computer shop. Somebody who has an irrational hatred of technology that improves things, or at least gives us more knowledge. You're not coming near a customer's computer. I'm not letting you fuck that shit up. I'm quite happy with my decision to make sure that was one of many test questions. The Great Filter. It's not me. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. This has been a rant. You didn't need to watch. Downvote it if you like.